Kevin Samuels, the man who sparked a national conversation. In the fast-moving world of social media, few figures left as deep an imprint and stirred as much debate as Kevin Samuels. Known first as a sharply dressed image consultant and later as one of the most controversial voices in modern discussions about relationships, dating, and family, Samuels became a cultural lightning rod. To his supporters, he was a truth-teller unafraid to confront uncomfortable realities. To his detractors, he was a provocateur whose blunt style perpetuated harm. His sudden passing in 2022 only amplified the conversation about who he was, what he represented, and what legacy he leaves behind. Early life and professional roots. Kevin Rochon. Samuels was born on March 13, 1969, in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Raised in a modest household, he often credited his mother and grandmother with teaching him the value of presentation and traditional social etiquette. From a young age, Samuels stood out for his polished appearance and keen observation of people, traits that foreshadowed his career. After high school, he attended the University of Oklahoma, majoring in chemical engineering. Though he did not complete his degree, he transitioned into corporate sales and advertising, working with companies like Office Depot, Supermedia, and the Real Yellow Pages. In these roles, he developed expertise in branding and persuasion, skills that would later define his approach to image consulting. Reinvention as an image consultant. Leaving corporate America, Samuels carved out a career as an image and lifestyle consultant. He advised professionals, mainly men, on wardrobe, grooming, and how to cultivate executive presence. His early YouTube channel reflected this. Reviews of colognes, discussions on tailored suits, and tips on etiquette. Kevin Samuels didn't just promote style, he embodied it. He was rarely seen without a tailored suit, pocket square, and polished demeanor. His office setups featured dim lighting, shelves of cologne, and smooth jazz, reinforcing the aura of refinement. For Samuels, appearance wasn't superficial, it was power. The pivot. From style to relationships. Around 2017-2018, Samuels began shifting his focus. While his fashion content drew modest attention, his commentary on relationships and family drew fire, debate, and clicks. By 2020, his live call-in shows had transformed him into a viral sensation. At the heart of his philosophy were three consistent ideas. 1. Family first. He argued that strong families were essential for healthy communities, particularly in Black America. He lamented declining marriage rates and the normalization of single-parent households. 2. Accountability in dating. Samuels believed both men and women often had inflated expectations in relationships, seeking partners whose value they could not realistically attract. 3. The high-value man. Perhaps his most controversial framework, Samuels described a high-value man as someone earning significant income, socially respected, disciplined, and part of an elite network. He claimed these men were rare and had dating leverage, which women needed to realistically acknowledge. It was here that his infamous average at best clip went viral, in which he told a female caller that her expectations for a partner were out of sync with her self-described qualities. The moment ignited outrage, parody, and endless discussion, cementing Samuels as both a truth-teller to some and a villain to others. Why he sparked a national conversation. Samuels' rise coincided with a larger cultural moment. The rise of podcasts and YouTube channels debating gender roles, marriage, and dating economics. But unlike others, he brought a sharp corporate polish that made his content feel more authoritative. He spoke directly to a generation grappling with contradictions. Modern independence versus traditional values, rising standards versus shrinking marriage rates, self-empowerment versus compromise. His bluntness forced people to confront questions they often avoided. This sparked polarized reactions. Supporters praised him for saying what others were too polite to say. Critics accused him of misogyny, particularly targeting Black women. Commentators questioned his contradictions, preaching traditional marriage while himself twice divorced and unmarried at his death. Celebrities noticed. Future featured him in a music video, Nicki Minaj interviewed him, and Vivica A. Fox criticized him after his death. Each engagement added fuel to the national conversation about his influence. The man behind the persona. Behind the sharp suits and viral soundbites, Kevin Samuels was more complex. Those who knew him personally described him as polite, mentoring, and charismatic. Young men credited him with inspiring them to dress better, focus on discipline, and pursue excellence. But others pointed to contradictions in his
So
personal life.
oftentimes they will just
Twice
say,
divorced,
"We're looking for
no lasting marriage,
we're looking
and
for
unmarried at his
beautiful women
passing.
in the area. Come out."
Samuels
to,
was
and so call the
vulnerable to
cattle.
accusations of hypocrisy. Yet it was perhaps this tension between his ideals and his lived reality that made him both relatable and controversial. His death and the shockwaves. On May 5, 2022, Kevin Samuels collapsed in his Atlanta apartment. He had been with a woman when he experienced sudden chest pains. Emergency responders could not revive him. The cause of death was later ruled hypertension leading to cardiac arrest. He was just 53 years old. The reactions were as divided as his career had been. Fans mourned him as a mentor and cultural truth-teller. Critics openly mocked or even celebrated his death, an unusually sharp response that underscored just how polarizing he was. Legacy. Kevin Samuels' legacy is not a neat one. He did not leave behind institutions,
Dennis.
charities, or books, but instead, conversations and debates. His influence lives on in the surge of relationship and gender podcasts echoing his themes, renewed discussion about marriage, family, and accountability. A cultural blueprint for mixing blunt social commentary with viral media theatrics. To some, he was a prophet calling society back to traditional values. To others, he was a provocateur amplifying harmful stereotypes. But either way, his voice could not be ignored. Conclusion. Kevin Samuels' story is one of reinvention, from engineer-student to corporate salesman, from image consultant to one of the most polarizing digital figures of the 21st century. He embodied both aspiration and contradiction. In life, he made people argue about family, dating, and standards. In death, he made people argue about his legacy. That may be the clearest measure of his cultural power. Kevin Samuels forced a nation to look in the mirror, whether it liked what it saw or not.